Hi, welcome back. We are going to go through a couple of things that I absolutely hate about van life. And listen, hate is a strong word, but they are some things that get really tiring. One and two, I think you'll definitely understand. Three is a little bit unique, so we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of little annoyances that happen in van life that stick with you that kind of keep coming up, like constantly doing dishes and constantly cleaning. Although that's really only because you're in such a tiny, small space that clothes from yesterday take up the entire amount of space that you've got. You know what I mean? So, excusing all of those things, the number one thing that I hate, which is understandable, kind of, is this weird fishbowl effect. Now, the fishbowl effect, if you're not familiar with that, is when it feels like you're living in a fishbowl and everyone that walks past goes, "Ooh, fish," and then looks in. And I get it because I'm living an alternative, unique lifestyle that a lot of people wish they could do, but may be afraid or have commitments, kids, 6 large dogs. I don't know. But they can't do this for whatever reason. Um, and so they're very curious to know what it's like, to look in to see how you're living, but aren't confident enough to ask you questions or to come and say hi. And to be fair, if everybody that looked in came to say hi, that would be equally, if not more, annoying because it's a lot. But people constantly looking in is one of my biggest hates of van life. Just come in and have a look around. I genuinely don't mind if you want to ask questions. I don't even mind if you want to ask if I'm like down on my luck homeless, or if I'm me, like I am now, homeless by choice, technically. It's when the people walk past and they've got that vibe where they're looking very intently, and they're trying to make it not look like they're staring into your house. They walk past with this eye and they're like, living the dream. You sleep in here? Here? Do you live in here? Hello, Rangers. Where do you go to the toilet? It's super weird, and you can pick up on the vibe as they walk past, and it makes it even more awkward. So I just wish that we could avoid the awkwardness, and I just shout out to those people. If you're one of those people, come say hi, come ask questions. I don't mind. The other aspect of people that walk past are the people that just kind of yell things at you. Living the dream. I don't know if this is because of where I'm parking, because I try to park, in nice places, which I also look after. I pick up rubbish and stuff where I go. But there was one time Elise and I were having an argument about stupid stuff, like it always is. We're sitting in the van, basically where I'm sitting now. The back was open, and we're there having this hushed argument because there's people walking past. No one wants to have an argument in public, and all of our arguments are in public because we live in public. Totally get it. Here we are waiting for these people to walk past to continue our disagreement, and someone's just living the dream. No, Wendy. I'm having an argument. Thanks. Thanks for making that really awkward. Thank you. So, look, it's nice that they feel like I'm living the dream, but it's not always the dream. The same problems that you have in a house are going to be in a van. And honestly, sometimes that makes it worse. Yeah, I do feel like I have a pretty good life and I feel like I'm living the dream, but not every second of my life is living the dream. So I hate people walking in, looking in. They can't really walk into my van. I hate people like looking in all the time, specifically when they're trying to not look and they're trying to make it subtle. And the people that yell random stuff at me while I'm sitting in my house. I get it and I accept these things are just part of like living in public, but it's still one of those things that is like, ugh, you know what I mean? So that's my number one thing. My number two thing is something I never expected to deal with while I was in a van. And I feel like it's not something I've ever heard anyone talk about. It's parking on a slope. This is the worst when you can't find a park that's on any kind of remotely level ground. So I've had to park like up a slight hill, maybe like, let's say, like something even just like that. You know what I mean? Something as mild as that, like a 10 degree. I'm not good at that sort of stuff, but a very slight slope. Um, and a lot of street parkings, like a lot of the streets, kind of go up in the middle and then go down on the edges so the water doesn't pool in the middle of the road and make it dangerous. That makes sense. So when you're parking on the street, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be on a slight slope on the curbside. Do you know how many things that affects in a van? It affects your cooking, because everything slips to one corner of your pot or your fry pan or your cooker, your grill, whatever. Everything slides to one section. And, look, I don't know about you guys, but it's never the hot side. It's like the coldest place in the pot, the coldest place in the grill, whatever it is, it's the worst spot that it could possibly go. It sucks. It makes cooking so much harder because you've got one end that's boiling its bubbles off. I was going to say something else there. Boiling itself crazy, burning, and the other side's stone cold because it's on the side of the. Or maybe I just need a better grill, but maybe I just need hydraulics in the bottom of my van that, like a bus, you know what I mean? Like a bus, that comes up when I park somewhere. That sounds better to me. It affects going to the toilet. I feel like every video I'm going to have is about going to the toilet soon. So if you're, depending on the slope, your toilet's going to fill up faster because of the angle that your thingy's on. That's annoying. Sleeping. Do you know how hard it is to fall asleep when you're constantly rolling to the left or the right? Usually the left for us Australians, because we drive on the other side of the road to you Americans there. You're constantly just rolling somewhere else. It's really awkward and it's really hard to get to sleep like that, especially when you have like a little toy cavoodle, which we do, which you eventually just start to crush a little bit as you go. And then she gets annoyed, obviously. And then so she moves with a grunt and a little brrr. Is that wakes you up, even though you were already half awake because you keep rolling down this little hill. It's so infuriating. And if you park on an actual hill because you can't find somewhere else, you're done, mate. You can't cook. You can't go to the toilet. You can barely boil a cup of coffee and you probably go and get to sleep. It's horrible. It's horrible. Sleeping on a slope, number 2. Number 3, this one is the one that might be unique to me, unique to Australia, unique to Queensland, which is the state that I live in. The heat. The heat. It doesn't get cold here. Like the coldest in, like I've had to travel for snow, right? Typical Australian. Cold's so much worse. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because let me tell you why the cold isn't worse than the heat. You can just keep putting on blankets, keep putting on clothes. You can just keep doing these things. You can also get a heater. I can get an air conditioner, sure, they're grossly inefficient, but bear with me here. The problem with an air conditioner in a van, which, again, I don't think a lot of people realize, is your condensation. So you're breathing out a lot of moisture like moisture in your breath. So is Elise. So is Nana. You add cold to that mix, right? You're now got condensation on the inside of your van, depending on how you've done your insulation and all that sort of stuff. But there's definitely condensation on your windows. People are going to know 100% that you're sleeping in there if there's condensation on your windows, because that's how that works. And then don't even get me started on your electrics. If in Australia, you don't have to, well, now you do, but when I originally built all of our batteries, you didn't have to keep them in like a separate, like, airproof box or whatever. So they are just like kind of like loose under the bed. If there is too much moisture in the air, aka I have the aircon on for 10 months of the year, which is what it kind of would be, my connections are going to rust. They're going to rust. They're going to short out. And that's a whole different problem, right? And the horrible thing is Queensland being tropical, so it's not like Texan heat. If you guys are from Texas or you've been to Texas, it gets the same temperature. So this year was one of the hottest summers we've had, because remember, we're flipped for seasons. We're heading into winter now. You guys are heading into summer. We're just coming out of summer, and this was one of the hottest summers that we've ever had on record. There was a period of about 2 weeks where at night time it didn't go under 32 degrees. Now, in a van, in our van in particular, honestly, it could do with better insulation, but I really don't want to completely gut the entire van, walls, roof, floor, the whole thing, just to put in new insulation. But it is 5 degrees hotter in the van nearly at all times than it is outside the van. And I think that that's pretty good. But when I'm looking at 32 degrees inside, that's 37 degrees in the van at night. You try sleeping at 37 degrees Celsius, mind you, Celsius, at like something ridiculous, like 80% humidity. You can't. You're melting. You're melting. I literally got dehydrated because I physically couldn't drink enough water to keep up with how much I was sweating. That's horrible. That's a horrible place to be in a van. And don't get me wrong, during the day it's okay, because like you can hang out at the beach or like rivers and all that sort of stuff. But at night, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's undeniably bad. So we're looking at 37 degrees in the van at nighttime, right? And if you're in a remotely sketchy place, you have to have the side door shut. You have to have your windows up. We've got the boot lock thing, which gives us like a little bit of gap in the back door, but still allows us to like lock the van. So that's a godsend. But 37 degrees in the van, 70 to 80 to 90% humidity sometimes. and you're trying to sleep in that on a slope sometimes. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. That would have to be my biggest hated thing. We're probably not going to spend another summer in Queensland. We're either going to go like way down south, like Melbourne, where it's a little bit more. They get a lot of like Arctic breeze coming up because you got like, let's say Australia is like here on a map, right? The Arctic is like down here. You know what I mean? It's relatively close. So they get a lot of Arctic breeze, so the weather's usually a lot colder down that way. So we're either going to go there or we're going to go further north, which... But Ashley, if you go further north, it's closer to the equator. It's going to be hotter. Yes, it's going to be hotter, but it's also a lot more tropical. So they get a lot of rain, which cools things down a little bit. They also get hurricanes, which is like typhoons and stuff. Cyclones. I don't know why we call it slightly different things, but they're all the same thing. Hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones. I don't know. We'll see where we end up next year, I guess. Next year, summer. I really like Queensland, though. But it sucks, man. That heat sucks. Maybe it won't be as bad. I'm lying. It will be. So those are like my biggest pet peeves about living in a van. The fishbowl effect and people like looking in. Number 2, parking on a slope, grossly unexpected that to be a thing. And number 3, the heat. Those of you that are living in a van in the States or somewhere where it does get cold, let me know how it is in like the snow and things like that. I'm very interested. Like, what are the problems that you face by living in a super snowy region in a van specifically? Or what are the things that you would think would be a problem if you don't live in a van? You know what I'm saying. You know what I want an answer to. If you have any questions about living in a van or whatnot, I'm compiling a little video of those things that I can help answer. Thank you so much for all the comments as well. Sorry I couldn't get to all of them. I'm going to try to. One person asked, and it really stumped me with how I should answer it. One person asked, I'll put it like up here or something, how I stay calm, essentially, how I don't lose it by like not having a job and how I deal with not having money. So I thought I might take the end of this video to kind of go through that. I genuinely think, this is going to sound a bit delusional, but I genuinely think most things will work out for me. And I'm going to be honest, they usually do. I have often labeled myself as one of the luckiest people in the world just because weird things just work out for me. And so I never depend on things working out for me, but I just assume that they will. So I obviously have a little bit of money saved up and I can get work like that because I work in childcare and the childcare industry is in a gross need of staff. So I can get work pretty much anywhere, everywhere, at any time. So I'm not super worried if something happened that I needed a bunch of money. I also have family up and down the east coast of Australia, so if something happens, I can lean on them. But things just work out. So I just don't sweat the small stuff. I'm very focused on the now, as you can probably tell from my videos. Ramble. So yeah. I feel like that's how I'm going to answer that one. Things work out, and I trust that they will work out. Anyway, the video is going on like way too long. Thank you so much for watching. If you like van life stuff, if you like real van life stuff, not the Instagram hashtag, because my van doesn't look like an Instagram hashtag van, subscribe, follow, like, I don't care. Do whatever you like. But come back. Okay, bye. Have a good time. Also, if you're thinking about living in a van, you should maybe do it because no one's getting younger. Yay! And just this is just your bi-weekly video reminder to throw away your childhood toy. It's okay. Okay, bye.